My name is Joseph Manigault. I was born Georgetown, South Carolina, in 1956. I played in the rec, I guess you can say, during the segregation era, and also we integrated in probably like 1969, Ricky, would that be about right?
My name is Ricky Rowe. I was born September 21st, 1950 in Georgetown, South Carolina, and grew up in the city limits, Georgetown. Went to Manigault High School, graduated in 1969. I was in the rec program in the late 50s and early 60s. I started going to East Bay Park when I was 6 years old, and it was really the only park we had that families and kids could kind of hang out and play with each other. And during that tenure, we had a guy by the name of Matt Goiak, as the recreation director, and Kay Richards, which was the athletic director. And they were the two that really started recreation in Georgetown, but it was to the city of Georgetown at that time. And then later on, the county program came in. Recreation Center that was at East Bay Park. And it was the first recreation center that we had. It was a log cabin. And if I'm not mistaken, I think International Paper had donated it. And it stayed there until 1964. And then down the street, they built the Bobby Office Center, the building that's there now, that they're getting ready to renovate. And I think, let me back up for a second. Before this building was put there, they used to have a building on Church Street, the corner of Church and Scriven. There's a metal building over there. And that's where they started out and put an office there and had a ping pong table, pool, and tables you could play dominoes, cards, simple games and stuff like that. And then they moved to this building. And then that's where your recreation started, and it moved forward to what it is today. I played 3 sports in high school: football, baseball, and basketball. I was drafted in 1969 with the Washington Senators, which was sold to the Texas Rangers the next year. I played in the minor leagues. After that was over with, I kind of worked my way back to Georgetown in 1975, and a job opening came with Georgetown County, which was the first full-time recreation employee that the county had hired. Mr. Goiak was still the director, but he was just part-time. All the program went through the city. Anyways, in 75, I came home, and I've been here ever since, and for a total of 47 years. And it's been great.
And I started playing at East Bay in 1969 under the Kay Richards and Lucky. And the main thing I remember about that is the team experience, the group. We were undefeated. And before that, like in 67, up in those years, 65, we played under Coach Smith. And my coaches there were like Lionel Beslou, Billy White, individuals like that played at the high school. At least I did, I had fun in both eras. And working, like I said, working Parks and Rec, it's really been fun to see the changes, the growth and the development, especially in the rural areas. And I think I had to go away to really appreciate, Georgetown, because I recall a couple of times going down to Florida, and I think I mentioned this to Ricky, our fields looked just as good, our facilities at that time. So I had to really go away to really appreciate Georgetown. And the reason I've stayed here in Georgetown for so long is that we always had to support the community where other recreation departments don't. So it was just easy for me just to hang around, and I met Ricky here, and when we used to do a lot of basketball tournaments, and Ricky really showed me how to keep up the facilities at that time. And we had quite a few. And I recall stealing your floor machine. And, I remember hiding it because he never got angry with me, but I think he always knew where it was if he wanted it. But that's who I am, and I'm still enjoying Parks and Rec. And I'm still aggravating Ricky whenever I need to know something. Did I leave out anything?
We could talk for days.
I think so.
In the 47 years, we've gone to just about every community is in Georgetown County, and there's a playground or a park or mini park that people can gather, or with their families, their children, or people can rent them, and most of them are probably 5 miles apart, and it's helped the people as far as physically and mentally to stay active. And because at one time you had to come all the way to Georgetown in order to use East Bay Park. You don't have to do that now. But our program has grown, not just athletic wise, program wise. We used to be really a recreation department, but we're in a business now. It's gotten that big. And we didn't have buildings, facilities to operate in, and now we've got them in just about every major part of Georgetown County.
Kay Richards was the assistant director?
Who was that?
Kay? Yeah.
He was the athletic director, that's what he was.
Oh,
yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
But he was the football coach, and he's the one that was out there with the kids, teaching them the fundamentals of, baseball, football. It didn't matter, what kind of sport it was. But
Well, the reason I'm saying that, see, Kate was my coach.
Yeah.
And I did not know that.
Yeah. Well, we had it was really a small program, back in those days. And like we talked about before, volunteers, people that work for the government, and if they had to push it forward the way they did, we wouldn't have a program right now where we are.
Well, the reason I'm asking you is because, see, when I listen to you, I received some of the benefits of those changes, and even though I said segregation, but I remember Sam Barnes being on city council,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember some of the conversations he had with me. So I was a little fella just following him around. You remember the Young Club?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
See, where we used to live right across the street from that. So.
That was a center on Black River Road over toward the hospital that they had programs in there, and they had a basketball court, they had a playground on that side of town. And at one time they used to do art, ceramics, and the kids could go, from on that side of town.
Miss Holiday?
Right.
Was
Mabel Holiday, she was the one, and Tommy Smith, which was the football coach in Howard High School. They both ran that center on that side. It was kind of before Joey come and Bernard Baruch had acquired that property and put that there. And it was called the Baruch Playground. And then, everything else, like Joey was talking about a while ago, about the black kids, the white kids, or whatever. We go over there, and it's been there ever since. The city picked it up, after we kind of changed everything around. But gosh, it's been there forever. I know when I was a kid, it was there.
And see, you had players like, you were on the Ford Brothers, they went on to play pro basketball. See, they just don't here. You had a Stephen Moore, not here. Joshua Jenkins. Yeah, those individuals just simply on here. And as I look
played
around,
right there in that same place.
the same place, yeah.
That's the only thing they had. They didn't know what games and stuff like that. It was at that time that was going on, but it was at that time that it was turning in a different direction.
Mm-hmm. Right, I have to agree with you because like this, we integrated high schools in 1970, Wynyard Howard. Like I graduated from Wynyard, and it was just during that time. It just so happened I played.
They had already had students coming to Wynyard High School.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In the late '60s.
Yeah.
As the old saying is, I think it's better to recreate than incarcerate. And it's been proven that it does work. I also think that has to do with color. The more that we congregate together, spend time together and teach one another, what the values of friendship, because I got as many black people as friends of mine as I do white people. And it wouldn't take nothing for them, because back when I was coming up, we was always taught, to treat everybody equal, And then when my daddy, being a preacher too, that kind of, what's good and what's bad, But, we all got along. I thought we did real good, when we were all coming up.
Yeah, because some of the stories I know about Ricky didn't come from Ricky. This is out in the black community. So I kind of, live with Goins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, live with Goins. And going back to making everything equal, since I started in 1989 in the parks and everything, I place more value on each community than anything else. What I really learned is that sometimes it's not a black and white issue. It's just different communities, the way they were raised, their environment, the culture, and that makes a difference. And I've enjoyed working out in rural areas because it made me wonder what was there before we came along. There wasn't any parks. That Browns Ferry Bridge was built during my lifetime. Chopee was built during our lifetime. So you've seen the growth. And they do have a lot of pride, both communities.
I think they just need to be in good programs, period. It doesn't matter whether it's parks and recreation or whether it's a church down the street or whatever. You keep them occupied, you keep them in programs. They're not down the street doing other things.
Well, going on what you said, just like you said, over the years we've done a lot of work with the school system. So that's helped also before we got to the parks and stuff like that. a good example, we didn't have any facilities at Walkmore, and we didn't have anything in Choppy, but we used to work with the schools to try and provide. And for some reason, Andrews comes to mind also, but that's a really, really sports-minded community. And I'm just thinking about how we used to go into the schools, and yeah, we did.
Now, I get involved in a lot of the other stuff. I mean, we refereed and, did a lot of other things in other departments. We've been involved with other departments doing different jobs or tasks or whatever comes up, whatever they ask us to do. But as far as being a supervisor, what I'm doing the same thing I did when I came in 1979.
Just a whole lot more fields
Yeah.
and parks.
Yeah, well, I only had what was in the city. There was 3 ball fields at East Bay Park and 1 behind Maryville School, and that was it.
Kensington.
Y'all been to all of them.
You had Kensington also, didn't you?
Huh?
You had Kensington Park also, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
It was into the construction part of it, laying out fields and companies coming in, staying with them, and making sure that they put them where they're supposed to. And they were mostly on school property that Joey was talking about a while ago. If the school hadn't gone in with recreation and gave them the land and stuff, I mean, they probably wouldn't have put them in, So it started out like that, and now we've moved in a different direction to, we have our own land, our own facilities, and now everybody wants to come use our facilities because they're some of the nicest, facilities there is in the state of South Carolina. And it's good that we got that and it's good that all those volunteers and people that was hired and, helped put them in and the politicians was willing to spend the money to upgrade it and all like that. I think we're way ahead of the game now, when it comes to people starting to move in and Georgetown starting to grow.
It's funny you should mention that. That same group that did all that work, their grandkids are enjoying the facilities.
Beach access, boat landings, park, playground, sometimes buildings, it's going what needs to be done. And like I say, other departments, whatever they call and they need, it's a big operation. Like I told you, it's a business. It's not Parks and Rec no more. And don't forget the leisure services.
That's right. That's
added on.
When I listen to you, Ricky, I'm thinking we've also helped when disasters happen, floods happen. We switch hats. We work with the senior citizens. Man, it's kind of like
I would like to say something though about as far as labor. We do hire people, that work with us full time and all. But we use that part-time program. We use inmates from the detention center. And by working inmates, we're trying to rehabilitate them by putting them with us because they're trustees anyway. But I feel like over the years, and I know we've been in that program for 35, 40 years, and it didn't matter whether it's pardon, parole, juvenile justice, the state, the county, whoever. I feel like we've been rehabilitating people for many years that a lot of people don't know about.
from officiating games by myself, rain out when we have tournaments. You taught me how to do those things, and whatever's really needed. communities, we out there. We just don't, as people think, sit behind the desk, but you have to really deal with individuals that deal with different communities. And over the years, those attitudes and approaches have changed over the years. So you get up there, you sweep the floor, you do what you need to do. Like if there's a game, we used to have quite a few baseball tournaments. Ricky said that something happens, this is what you do, and it's happened. And I've done it. I mean, yeah, we do what we need to do to make it work. Let me see, from Paulie's to what? Plantersville? Okay, every part of the county.
You been there what, man?
Yeah.
Every square inch.
Every,
How many 160 square miles, if I ain't mistaken?
I can.
That's a big county.
Yeah. Yeah, even though we're Cedars.
But you know, these people are happy out there. They happy that they got a place that they can congregate. And they trust in us that whenever they need something, that's why they call us, that we can help. In a lot of communities, they help themselves. We don't do it all for them. They do a lot for themselves. Which is a plus.
Yeah, like the ball field in Andrews, I agree with that. But no, you help them. Don't get wrong now, but you're right. The Booster Club in Andrews doing that
Yeah,
time.
they do a lot.
Years ago, I'm thinking it was centered around the Dixie Boys. And for some reason, I don't know all the reasons, but the Booster Club got together and started with the old Andrews ball field where the tennis courts are located. And I remember Ricky helping and everything. I want to say Ricky actually did the layout, but the community really helped with that. And it's still there. And this concession stand, I want to say 2 Dixie Boys fields, batting cages. And I just remember that Mr. George Matthews was there when we were at the old Andrews High School then.
It's on cat claw.
Yeah.
The guy that he coached us was a guy named Delano Howard. He worked at the paper mill, which a lot of people did work in the paper mill. But even working in the paper mill, work all day and then come out and spend the time with us, and then sometime on the weekends, you know. He didn't even have children in the program. And a lot of coaches back then didn't have children in the program. They just loved baseball, football, basketball, or whatever, you know. But if people hadn't taken their time, and they only had a 6-team league, that's how it started. And then after they got that going, they went to the next group, and they had 3-4 teams in 13, 14-year-old league. But if those volunteers hadn't come forward and done what we did, we wouldn't have a recreation program right now. I mean, we talking about it 47, I think it was. So then it escalated. And then people find other ways to create more recreation, you know, which is travel ball or whatever, you know. It doesn't have to be just athletics, it could be some other type program. And because everybody don't play athletics, everybody don't hunt, and everybody don't fish, but they're doing it all now. And it all comes through us.
Yeah.
I mean, we never have a fishing program, and look what we've had in the last 5 to 7 years.
That would be.
But it took volunteers, even with those fishermen or whatever, for what they're doing right now in order to prove it. If they didn't have the volunteers to push it, keep doing it, making it better, it wouldn't be what it was today.
Gosh, you're looking at back to the community like Billy White. You're looking at there's really the whole Howard team during that time. That's when Coach said. So by the time I got to K, I was ready to go. And what comes to mind is Mr. White. Mr. White and Gag with baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, to this day, if they told me to do something, I would do it. And they would have us out there on Saturdays, and like you said, the canteen, during that time, during those years, fundamentals, and they taught me you don't give up a lot of excuses. We don't, to me today, if I mess up something, it might get me in trouble, but those are the things that they taught us. We don't whine about a lot of stuff. And so,
You could go back to what Joey's saying there, of people that even in the black and white community, if you went and checked, you'd be surprised the people that was in athletics that left here and went to major colleges, went to the NFL. I mean, we could go on and on and on.
yeah,
Because of these people, they stuck by, the kids in this community and gave them something to look forward to.
And to piggyback on what you said, like Ricky talked about the pros. I know we talked about kids that have come through the program, but have also been successful in life.
Yeah.
Like Mac Reed, those types of individuals.
Right.
And,
I'm a living example. I mean, I came back and I spent, 47 years to help the people in my community. I mean, I didn't come back for money or something else, and other people don't do it either. But I think we've done good, and it just doesn't have to do with recreation. It could do with a lot of other programs that's out there. But our community has really grown since the 50s.
well, my thing was that I was always going to come back home. The thing for me was just go get experience and come back, and that's what I did. And I think about the players, like Ricky was talking about, the individuals that coached me, dude. That was always the thing, to give back, like Ron Ford and Brendan. We were all teammates, but we all said we would always come back. Even though, like Ricky mentioned, there were guys that made it, and Ricky's one of them, but it was always about that, and that's what they instilled in us, and to come back and give to your community. And that's something that just stuck with me. They come back. Just like we did something with Richards, with track and field, last week. He's a world-class sprinter, the COVID, and he got hurt, but he comes back and he does the camp for the kids.
Mac Alston was one.
Eric Allen.
Yeah, Eric Allen.
Yeah, both brothers.
His brother, Emmeline.
Yeah.
And like I said, there was a bunch of them went to major colleges.
Yeah. Gosh, I hate to keep calling his name, but Brendan, Michigan State. Ron attended Johnson C. Smith Ricky? Ron Ford,
He went somewhere.
Ron went to Johnson C. Smith. But you have individuals like that, and you had the gatherers.
Yeah, I'd like to say something since you said gatherers. All of those boys, Daddy, came together. He worked for Parks and Recreation for 15 years.
Yeah.
And he had 3, 4 of them went to major schools and ended up in the NFL.
Wait a minute now, let's back up. Jumpy has what, 2 or 3 Super Bowl rings? Yeah. Jumpy, he got that Washington. 78. Robert played for Buffalo. His 2 sons, one played for Cincinnati. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 years playing. And
Clayton's boy went to the club.
Right. Blueprint is out of that particular gene pool. He was with Seattle. Zach Gray was at, I want to say the Jets, and so was Judge Giles. I hope I pronounced his last name correctly. But you have individuals like that from this area, and I'm sure I'm missing some because you have others that are playing like in the Canadian League. One of the Richard brothers, and also another Reed played in the Canadian League.
Well, you meet a lot of new people too. And plus, where can you go and see your friends every day? When you go over here today, you see a friend. Tomorrow you go over here and you see a friend.
Oh, it was like 3 years after I started. At that time, I had equipment and everything. And I was standing next to A.B. Latson. A.B. was playing walk-on at Plantersville. Everybody had the same equipment. You couldn't tell which team was which. And to me, because that's something, when I first started, we needed to work on. It took me about 3 years. So when Walkmore came to Plantersville to play, they both had helmets, shoulder pads, jersey, and you couldn't tell where the teams were from because of the equipment. Before, you can tell. But at that point, to me, that was the moment. And when Mr. George from Andrews said, "You doing good?" Hey, those were the things that, when I first started, I knew we had to change. And to me, that was the best thing that happened. And besides, Walkmore won that night, so at Plantersville, and that was unheard of before. So, yeah, you can tell, when I first got here, you can tell the rural areas didn't have the same equipment as everybody else in Georgetown. You could just look at it, you just didn't. Whether you are a football fan or not, it didn't matter. You can look at that and tell. And it took me 3 years to make sure everybody had the same thing. I'm talking rural, I'm also including Andrews. So everything outside of Georgetown, you can tell, shoulder pads, and when I went in. And it took me about 3 years to get that. And like I said, at that point, I was standing next to Mr. A.B. Latson, who also, he's been around 3 years too, Ricky. A.B. Latson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He spent
Fought for, yeah.
30 years in the program.
Yeah.
Coaching.
Yeah. Didn't have a kid in the program either. And that was the best thing for me at that particular point.
I think the first thing that got me was that the first day I ever went to East Bay Park. I never dreamed that what was in front of me. And it started right there. The second thing is, in 1963, we won the state championship in football and baseball the same year. A lot of those athletes that was in those two groups went on to, colleges and to do, good. And the third thing is all the lives I've touched and helped. And help bring it to what it should be, And there's a lot more to do after I leave. But it's been a great ride now, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean,
In fact, I probably got the best job in the state of South Carolina, nobody don't know it.
yeah. No regrets, huh?
Oh,
No, I hear you, man. No regrets.
I had to tell you, I had a friend call me and tell me they were gonna hire somebody for this job. And I was living in Anderson, South Carolina. He said, if you want that job, you need to call. And I did, and I come down here, and they said, we'll let you know something in 2 weeks, and they called. And I didn't even have, my mind was made up, I was ready to come home, you know. I mean, nobody else has got nothing no better than we got. Everybody's dying to get in, you know. So, anyways, I came back, and I've been a part of it ever since. And it's been great. Organizing, making sure it's done, meeting people.
When I see a young kid that can't walk and chew bubblegum at the same time,
I can do that now.
no. But at the end of our programs, you can see the change in that particular player. And yeah, that's what I like. When you can see that, you can see a child that's really developing. Or 5 years, you look at the child, you're looking up at him like, are you the same individual? So that's what I get up, because what we kind of like do, you don't see immediate results. You have to see them later on down the road. So yeah, that's what I like.
Recreation has made life better for a lot of people.
Yeah. Looking at a little 5-year-old, what he was like when he started track, and to look at him now in just one season. Yeah.
Used to be, we knew the people that we grew up, and then they had children. We knew their children, and then their children, but it's got too far down the line now, you can't remember any of them.
Yeah, that happens with at least to me. At least, yeah, that happens.
We didn't have a program outside the city limit. We started building it, and a lot of the stuff that we built, we have torn down and come back and rebuilt. And I would never believe that they would have come forward, and I'm thankful that the politicians decided to spend the money to upgrade it, because it's made a better quality of life in Georgetown County. But without the money, you know, it would have been nothing.
Because I'm thinking back to the facility. Or really, like you said, we didn't have any.
No, there was no program.
We had the
People on the
schools.
outside came into the city to play.
Yeah.
I just like seeing people happy, and it's all about them. It's not about, you know, anybody else. And if you can make them happy, and the communities grow, and they have good citizens, and they make good citizens, we've done our job.
Yeah, because what comes to mind with that is like the men's basketball program out of Carvers Bay. Who would have ever thought a Carvers Bay basketball team would be a contender from year to year? And I recall when they broke that barrier. Yeah, and they were playing for the lower state. And those are the kinds of things I look at that like. Every one of those knuckleheads came up to us. I hate to put it that way, but like what I'm hearing, they're coming.
They used to play in what used to be the Pleasant Hill High School, which is the elementary school now,
Yeah.
is where the program was,
Mm-hmm.
where the new park is.
Mm-hmm. And you look at those, to me, look at those, and when they went to state 2 years in a row, you see the same kids that were younger. The team this year, there are 3 or 4 on there. They were just young, and they're going to be good again. Same thing with the rebuilding process throughout the county with football. Same kids that have come up. And the thing I've enjoyed is tracking them. or being around them. Yeah, and with the facilities, it has really, really helped. Yep.
That's all.
Yeah, because I can tell that's the.
I'll tell you one about, the boy worked with me, his name is Woody Chambers. I mean, he worked for the Parks and Recreation. And, now if you want history, Woody's the one y'all need to call. He lives in Columbia and he can tell you anything you want to know about Georgetown. But anyway, we were hauling dirt and, we were loading the trucks and all, and a lot of time we had to build the infields, you know, hauling on dirt and stuff, and, you know, back then. But anyway, Woody was with us, and he saw us, how we was running the backhoe, you know, loading the trucks and all like that. So we stopped to go to lunch, and we told him, said, Woody, we'll be back in a few minutes, so we're gonna run up here and get a sandwich. So we went on and come back. We seen him sitting on, he said, man, you're gonna kill me. I said, what's wrong, Woody? Man, you're gonna kill me. That's all he could say. Scared to death, shaking all over. I said, what's wrong? He said, walk around there on the other side of that truck. I walked around there, and poor Woody thought that he could operate that backhoe. And he took it in the bucket. He grabbed a hold of the door, and when he pulled the door all off the dump truck. He said, yeah, I'm gonna kill you. We just took the door off of it because it was on the passenger side. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but you know, we had to check the fields at night before we go home, make sure the lights and stuff are turned off. If I had a camera back then, the stuff that you see, you just have to laugh, and parents' reaction, like during the game with the kids, and yeah, no, I can't.
Overall, though, I think everybody's done good, I really do. Georgetown County done good, and the people themselves have done good. Because it takes all of them to do it.
I still think there's more to come. I really do. Yeah. And, you know, and I'm looking forward to it, so it's kind of like,